you're sitting on your couch, you pull out your phone, tap the screen a few times, and 30 minutes later, boom, a hot pizza or, your weekly groceries just magically appear at your front door.
Right. It feels totally seamless.
It really does. Honestly, it feels a little bit like magic. But I have to tell you right out of the gate today, that sleek little delivery app sitting on your home screen, it's a lie.
Yeah, it really is.
Or, well, at best, it is only about 25% of the truth.
It's an illusion. And it's an illusion that, honestly, most people, even entrepreneurs who are trying to enter this space, they just fall for it completely.
You think you're interacting with the entire system when you place an order, but you're really just like peering through this tiny keyhole.
A very polished keyhole, but yeah.
Right. So today we're doing a deep dive into the hidden mechanics of the on-demand economy. We are pulling back the curtain on this massive infrastructure that's just running silently behind that little icon on your phone.
It's a lot bigger than people think.
Oh, massively. We've got our hands on a really insightful guide today, and it's titled 7 Things to Know About Multi-Vendor Delivery Software. So whether you're an aspiring founder trying to build, the next big delivery empire, or you're just insanely curious about what actually happens in the digital ether during those 30 minutes after you hit order, our mission today is to decode the whole machine.
Which is so important right now.
It is. Because what separates a lightning-fast, highly successful software launch from an 18-month, wallet-draining engineering nightmare? Well, it all comes down to understanding that hidden 75%.
Yeah, and for anyone trying to build one of these platforms, there's this foundational fork in the road that happens on literal day one.
Right.
You either try to build this incredibly complex machine entirely from scratch, line by line of code, or you launch using what the industry calls white label food delivery software.
And that choice is huge.
It's everything. That single choice dictates your timeline, your budget, and ultimately your chances of even surviving the first year.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because my first instinct, and I'd bet the instinct of pretty much anyone who has ever dreamed up an app idea, is that you just hire a team of developers to build an app.
Right. Just build the app.
Exactly. Like, I want my logo, my brand colors, a really beautiful user interface for the customer. Why wouldn't I just pour all my resources into building that one perfect app?
Well, because a complete multi-vendor delivery solution is never just one app. It's 4 distinct heavy-duty systems running simultaneously.
4 systems.
4. And they're constantly talking to each other in real time. The customer app you mentioned. That is literally just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface, you have the customer app, sure, but also the vendor dashboard, the rider app, and the admin panel.
So it's kind of like a restaurant.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
Like the customer only ever sees the dining room, right? The lighting, the tables, the nice menu. That's the customer app. You sit down, you browse, you pay securely, leave a tip. It's the front of house. But for that dining room to even exist, you need a kitchen, which is the vendor dashboard.
Right, where the magic happens.
Yeah, that's where the restaurant or, the grocery store is actually managing their inventory, accepting incoming orders, printing the tickets.
And they need to do that fast.
Super fast. Then you have the wait staff, which would be the rider app, getting the food from the kitchen to the table, handling all that route optimization, tracking their earnings. And finally, you have the manager's office in the back.
The admin panel.
Exactly. Where the platform owner is, setting commission structures, approving new restaurants, and just crunching all the overarching analytics.
Right. And if a customer places an order in that dining room, the kitchen has to instantly know what to cook.
Instantly.
And the wait staff needs to know exactly when to arrive at the kitchen window so the food doesn't just sit under a heat lamp getting gross.
Nobody wants a soggy burger.
Nobody. And the manager needs to reconcile the payment right then and there. If the wait staff doesn't get the alert, the food literally dies in the window. If any single connection between those 4 systems breaks down, the entire delivery just fails.
Okay, but let me push back on this a little bit. Let's say I'm a founder and I'm bootstrapping this whole thing. I have a very limited budget.
Very common scenario.
Right. Is it really that fatal of an error to just sink all my cash into making the customer app flawless? Like, can I just get the users in the door, get them ordering, and then sort of duct tape the back end together? Fake it till you make it with the restaurants and the drivers until I can raise more funding.
I mean, it sounds incredibly tempting, but it is a guaranteed way to collapse your business within weeks.
Within weeks, wow.
Yeah. Imagine being a local restaurant owner, right? You are in the middle of this frantic Friday night dinner rush.
Yeah.
The tickets are just piling up. If the vendor dashboard I gave you is clunky, Or if it randomly drops an order, your kitchen gets entirely backed up.
Oh man, they would be furious.
You are going to get frustrated. You're going to unplug that tablet and literally toss it in a drawer.
Yeah, he just wouldn't use it.
Exactly. Or put yourself in the shoes of a delivery driver. You're navigating downtown city traffic. Maybe it's pouring rain. If the Rider app's GPS is lagging or it routes you down some dead-end street, you are actively losing time. And for a driver, time is money.
So they just quit.
They will simply shut the app down and go drive for a competitor whose software actually works.
Right. So if the vendors and the riders abandon ship, it absolutely doesn't matter how pretty the customer app is.
Not at all.
The customer's just going to get a cold pizza 2 hours late. That beautiful UI is totally useless if the underlying service fails.
Exactly. I mean, you just have to build for all three user types from day one. You know, the customer, the vendor, and the rider. You cannot treat the people actually doing the heavy lifting as an afterthought.
Which brings us to the sheer math problem of it all.
The volume.
Yeah. If you have all four of these massive systems firing at once, customers ordering, vendors cooking, riders driving, admins overseeing, human coordination becomes mathematically impossible the minute your order volume scales up.
Absolutely impossible.
Like, you can't have a guy sitting at a desk with a two-way radio calling a driver going, hey, can you swing by 5th Street and pick up a burrito?
I mean, not if you want to process more than a handful of orders an hour. And this is where automation stops being some luxury tech feature and becomes a matter of basic survival.
Survival.
Yeah. A tiny core startup team can only run a massive, sprawling marketplace if the software is making thousands of micro decisions a second for them. Take auto dispatching, for example.
Yeah, let's dig into that, because how does the system actually know who to send without a human dispatcher? Does it just ping whoever is physically closest to the restaurant?
It is so much smarter than that. It isn't just drawing a straight line on a map. The auto dispatch algorithm is constantly weighing a dozen variables at once.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's asking, who is closest? Are they currently on a bicycle or in a car? What is the current traffic density on that specific route?
Wow.
It even asks, are they already on another delivery heading in that general direction, meaning we could batch the orders and save time? The software calculates all of this instantly and silently dispatches the absolute most efficient rider.
That is wild. And the source mentions inventory syncing too, which I feel like is one of those invisible mechanisms we totally take for granted as everyday users.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the alternative, right?
Mm.
If a bakery sells their last chocolate croissant to a walk-in customer, they just tap out of stock on their vendor tablet. Because the systems are synced, that croissant instantly vanishes from the customer app.
There's no delay at all.
No delay. Without that automation, a customer might order that sold-out croissant 30 seconds later, which forces the restaurant to call the customer, apologize, issue a partial refund, and then deal with a bad review.
That sounds like a total nightmare.
It is. Automation prevents that whole customer service disaster.
I want to talk about the dynamic ETAs too, the estimated time of arrival, because the guide goes into this, and it honestly feels like a high-speed financial trading floor.
What's fascinating here is that the ETA is constantly recalculating in the background, exactly like a trading floor reacting to market shifts. It isn't just some static timer that counts down from 30 minutes.
Right. Because it's pulling in live weather data, it's tracking the driver's GPS speed, it's looking at the historical prep time for that specific restaurant on, say, a busy Friday night.
Exactly. And if the restaurant suddenly gets slammed with walk-in orders and falls 10 minutes behind on their ticket times, the algorithm just recalculates a delay.
Without anyone telling it to.
Right. It updates the driver so they don't show up too early and just stand around the lobby losing money. And it pushes a notification to the customer adjusting the arrival time, all simultaneously without a human lifting a finger.
So the software is basically an air traffic control system running on autopilot.
That's a perfect analogy.
And because that heavy lifting of daily operations is being handled by the code, the founder finally has the breathing room to actually look at the horizon and grow the business, which, I'll be honest, blew my mind when we were looking at the guide, this idea of the pivot.
Right, moving from a single offering to multiple verticals.
Yeah, because I always assumed that an app built to deliver hot tacos was fundamentally, structurally different in its code than an app built to deliver dog food or cold medicine. But they aren't, are they?
Not at all. Fundamentally, to a computer, an order is an order.
Huh.
The core database architecture, capturing a transaction securely, pinging a vendor, dispatching a driver, routing a payment, it is identical whether the cargo is a pepperoni pizza, a bouquet of flowers, or a bag of laundry.
The guide gives this brilliant example. Imagine a regional startup launches with 50 local restaurant partners. They build their brand, they get a loyal customer base in their city. 6 months later, consumer demand shifts, or they realize, people really want grocery delivery on Sunday mornings.
Right.
If they had custom built a rigid food-only platform from scratch, they would be stuck. They would literally have to pay developers hundreds of thousands of dollars and wait another year to build a totally new grocery system.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is exactly why scalability has to be a launch day requirement, not a future problem you just plan to solve later.
It has to be built in.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
In that example from the source, because the founder started with an adaptable white label multi-vendor platform, they don't rebuild anything. They literally just log into their admin panel, add a grocery tab and a pharmacy tab right next to the restaurants tab, onboard the local supermarkets using the exact same vendor dashboard the restaurants use, and launch a massive new business wing in a matter of weeks.
It is an incredible level of flexibility, but the guide is also pretty clear that scaling isn't always smooth sailing.
Far from it.
Yeah, there are massive traps founders fall into if they aren't careful, especially if they bought rigid software, like the single city trap.
Oh, that is a very common one. A lot of platforms run beautifully when you have, say, 20 vendors in one single ZIP code.
Right.
But the moment you try to expand to the neighboring town, you hit a hard wall. If the software's architecture wasn't coded to handle distinct geographical zones or geofences, you can't logically separate the delivery drivers in City A from the restaurants in City B.
So they just mix together.
Yeah, the system just thinks everyone is in one giant pool. And when that happens, you essentially have to rebuild the system from scratch.
Yikes. Or what about server costs? The guide talks about not using elastic cloud infrastructure. So say it's Super Bowl Sunday,
Oh boy.
right? Everyone in the city opens your app at the exact same time to order chicken wings. If your servers can't automatically scale up their computing power to handle that sudden data crush, the whole platform crashes.
It goes totally dark.
Nobody can order. You lose thousands of dollars in an hour, and your hungry customers delete the app out of pure rage.
And they don't come back.
Nope. And then there's the localization trap, ignoring the need for multi-language or multi-currency support until you're already trying to cross a border into a new market.
Exactly. You cannot treat scalability as an afterthought. You have to pressure test the software provider during that initial evaluation phase. You have to ask them point blank, hey, how does this exact system behave when I hit 2,000 daily orders? What breaks when I expand to 3 different cities?
And if they hesitate,
If they can't give you a straight answer, you walk away.
good advice. And if you do successfully scale into new cities and new verticals, you suddenly have this tidal wave of transactions, which leads us directly into following the money and securing the vault where all that money lives.
The most important part.
Let's talk about revenue streams first, because there's this huge myth out there that delivery platforms only make money by charging the customer that little delivery fee at checkout.
Yeah, that fee barely covers the operational costs of paying the driver. If you want to actually be profitable, the software needs to facilitate multiple diverse revenue streams.
Right.
Yes, you have the delivery fee, and you have the standard commission, which is the percentage the platform takes from the restaurant's total sale. But robust software opens up a lot more doors to monetize the ecosystem.
Like featured listings. The guide points out that a sushi restaurant can pay the platform a premium fee to be pinned at the very top of the search results when a user types in food near me.
They're paying for visibility.
Exactly. Then there's in-app advertising, like sponsored banner ads for a new soft drink brand, or vendor subscription models, where a store pays a flat monthly fee to use the platform instead of giving up a commission on every single order.
And we definitely cannot forget surge pricing.
Oh, yeah.
This is purely algorithmic. When demand massively outweighs supply, say a sudden blizzard hits and everybody wants to order in, but only a few brave drivers are actually on the road, the software detects that ratio imbalance in real time.
Just automatically.
Automatically. It increases the delivery fee. And this does 2 things. It incentivizes more drivers to log on because they can make more money, and it slightly cools down customer demand so the kitchen and the drivers don't get completely overwhelmed.
So what does this all mean? We have this massive operation, but none of this matters, right? None of these revenue streams survive if the vault where all this money lives isn't locked down tight.
Not for a second.
The source material leans heavily into this. Trust is the absolute foundation of any marketplace.
Because if a vendor's bank account details are compromised or a customer's credit card is skimmed, That trust shatters, and it almost never comes back. You just cannot compromise on security standards to save a few bucks.
The guide lists a bunch of these security standards, and we really should translate them because they can sound like, technical alphabet soup.
Mm.
PCI compliance, SSL encryption, GDPR. Let's break those down. What is SSL encryption really when it comes to a delivery app?
Think of SSL encryption like a digital armored truck. When a customer types in their credit card on their phone, SSL scrambles that sensitive data into an unreadable puzzle before it travels across the internet to the server. Even if a hacker manages to intercept it in transit, all they see is gibberish.
And PCI compliance.
That is essentially the global security standard for the vault itself. It is a strict set of rules that proves to the banks that your platform's infrastructure is legally secure enough to handle credit card processing in the first place.
Got it. And then there's GDPR or local privacy laws, depending on where you operate, which act kind of like a bouncer at the door, making sure you aren't illegally hoarding or selling customer data.
Exactly.
But, the security feature that actually stood out to me the most was OTP verification, sending a one-time password to the customer.
Oh, it's a brilliant tool for physical security in the real world. When the driver arrives at the house, the customer actually has to give them a unique 4-digit code that was sent to their phone to complete the handoff.
It's like a secret handshake.
It really is.
I love that because it completely eliminates the whole "I never got my food" fraud from customers trying to get a free meal, and it stops drivers from dropping a package at the wrong door and just driving away. It forces absolute physical accountability.
Yes, and you add that to role-based access, meaning a delivery driver can't dig into a restaurant's total monthly revenue, and a vendor can't see a customer's home address history, and you have a system where everyone only sees the data relevant to their specific job.
And the platform owner sleeps a lot better at night knowing the data is compartmentalized.
Exactly.
So we have just mapped out an absolute beast of an operation. We're talking about 4 interconnected, real-time apps, dynamic trading floor automations constantly calculating variables, code that can instantly pivot from hot food to pharmacy pills, algorithmic surge pricing, and armored truck-level security.
It's a lot to take in.
My head is kind of spinning. The natural question for any founder is, how on earth do you acquire this kind of technology without, $100 million from a venture capital firm?
It all circles back to that fork in the road we discussed at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Custom development versus a ready-made white label solution.
Right.
Let's contrast them directly. If you choose custom development, you are hiring a massive team of engineers to build everything we just talked about from scratch.
Which sounds great on paper because it's 100% yours, customized exactly how you want it. But the reality is often a nightmare.
Huge nightmare.
It comes with a massive upfront cost, a very long development timeline, usually well over a year before you can even launch. And the burden of ongoing maintenance falls entirely on your shoulders. When a server goes down at 2 a.m. on a Sunday, it's on you to wake up and fix it.
Contrast that with the white label route. The core infrastructure, the 4 apps, the automation, the security, it's already built, tested, and proven by a software provider.
So you just plug it in.
Pretty much. You lease or purchase the software, apply your own branding, configure your own rules and delivery zones, and you can theoretically launch in a few days or weeks for a fraction of the cost.
Ugh.
The bugs have already been worked out.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because while white label sounds like the obvious winner, the guide makes it very clear that navigating this market is a total minefield. Founders step on landmines all the time, and the biggest one: falling for a flashy, fake demo.
Oh, the demo trap is legendary. A founder will sit in a Zoom meeting, right? The sales rep shows them a gorgeous, super slick customer app on a phone simulator.
And it looks amazing.
It looks perfect.
Yeah.
The founder falls in love with how it looks, signs the contract, and never actually asks to see the rest of the ecosystem.
Going back to our restaurant analogy, it's like they bought the restaurant because they liked the wallpaper in the dining room, but they never bothered to check if the kitchen actually had working stoves.
Exactly.
Before committing, you have to demand to test all 4 systems simultaneously. You have to open the vendor dashboard, you have to download the Rider app and see how the GPS actually feels in your hand. If you don't test them all together to see how they sync, you are flying blind.
Especially when it comes to vendor onboarding simplicity. Because if you finally convince a busy local bakery owner to join your new app, and they log into the dashboard, and it takes them 3 hours just to figure out how to upload a picture of a muffin and connect their bank account,
Quit.
instantly, your marketplace will stagnate because your vendor acquisition pipeline is broken by bad software design.
Another massive mistake is just buying the absolute cheapest option available. They see a low initial price tag, swipe the company card, and totally ignore the hidden fees for scaling or the fact that the cheap software lacks the automations they actually need to survive.
This raises an important question that every founder must ask themselves during this process. What does this software cost me over the next 2 years, rather than just today? You have to evaluate the total cost of ownership. You have to factor in support, mandatory updates, and those scaling fees. A cheap, rigid platform that breaks when you hit 200 vendors is infinitely more expensive in the long run than a slightly pricier premium platform that can scale to 2,000 daily orders without blinking.
You really do get what you pay for. It's a domino effect. Every single piece of this ecosystem relies on the other.
It really does.
So as we wrap up this journey, let's look at what we've unpacked today. We started by shattering the illusion that delivery software is just the single app you tap on your phone, revealing that massive four-part engine underneath.
Right, the four systems.
We explored how dynamic automation isn't just a luxury, but the survival mechanism that keeps the whole thing from crashing under its own weight. We saw how a single scalable platform can seamlessly shift from delivering burgers to bandages and the absolute necessity of multiple revenue streams and armored truck security.
It's incredible when you see it all laid out.
It really does change your perspective. I mean, the next time you order takeout, you have to appreciate the sheer volume of invisible math happening just to save you 30 minutes.
It is a minor miracle every time an order arrives hot.
Yeah.
And, based purely on the mechanics we've unpacked today from the source material, we'll leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
If this white label multi-vendor software is truly this adaptable, if it's realistically capable of running food, pharmacy, flowers, and retail all at once from a single unified dashboard without requiring a giant engineering team, what is stopping a small, savvy local entrepreneur in your neighborhood from creating their own hyper-local everything app?
Oh, wow.
Right. What's stopping them from completely bypassing the giant global delivery monopolies in their city and keeping all that money in the local economy? The technology is clearly no longer the barrier to entry.
That is such a fascinating point. The playing field has completely leveled out. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the hidden machinery of the on-demand economy. The next time you watch that little car icon inching across your screen, you'll know exactly how much of the truth you're really seeing. We'll catch you next time.